All right, Harry, today we're doing a miniature Bible study starting in Luke chapter 22, verse 31. Let me go ahead and get started. Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift all of you as wheat. What's going on here? Can we get a little background of what's happening?
Yeah, this is at the Last Supper in the Gospel of Luke, and is where Jesus has finished supper, and now he's telling Peter and the others that, particularly Peter, that Satan has requested to sift all of you as wheat. And that's the only place I know that that's spoken about like that. So what we're dealing with here is that it must be a bit like the story in Job, where God spoke to Satan, or Satan spoke to God and said, and had a request. And here, Jesus is telling Peter and the others that Satan has requested to sift them as wheat. And not that I understand exactly what that means, but what's happening is that as Jesus is heading to the cross, that the disciples are going to be spread out, and that there's things are going to go sideways, and Peter is going to end up denying Jesus, and Judas is betraying him, and a lot of things are not going very well in the next 24 hours. And so that's the background on what is being talked about.
All right, verse 32. But I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail. What does it mean by faith may not fail?
Yeah, like his well, the object, well, see, he's going to err because he's going to be very discouraged. As we know, he follows Jesus into the courthouse where the high priest and the Sanhedrin, and as he gets into that situation, he is going to be he's going to be really panicked, and he is going to deny Jesus. But in that process, Jesus has prayed to God that Peter's faith won't fail. And there's a difference between just bad behavior. Peter erred and denying Jesus. But there's a deeper side to it all, because how do you respond to that or react to that? Judas, we know what happened there. He lost his faith completely and did himself in. Whereas Peter, Jesus has prayed for him that his faith won't fail, that he'll have confidence in Jesus and in God through it all.
Okay, and then the other half. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. Isn't that the truth about it? That most times when we fail and we grow stronger afterwards, that we can strengthen those around us?
Yeah, that's so beautiful, eh? Because why Peter? Why was Peter picked out for this role? Because he was the most confident of them all, and of course he was the most confident of all that he was going to be faithful. And when he failed, he then he was in a position to have sympathy and empathy for his fellow disciples, and to that he could be a strength to them because and through his failure.
Yeah, we read his confidence in the next verse, verse 33. But he replied, Lord, I am ready to go with you to prison and to death. And I see this resemblance right here. He was confident, wasn't he?
Yeah, he really meant that. He was so, but in sometimes I know even my day-to-day life, sometimes I'm confident to no end. And other days, not so much, and I don't even have anything of this nature going on where there's real bad stuff. But our confidence gets shaken at times. But Peter was completely confident that even in these tough times, but he's now at the moment he's with Jesus at the Last Supper, and there's a camaraderie, and all the disciples and everybody's loving on Jesus, and so on, and on each other, and so but now the test will come.
Verse 34. Jesus answered, I tell you, Peter, before the rooster crows today, you will deny 3 times that you know me. And did Peter end up denying Jesus 3 times?
That's right. That's a famous story about how that he was in a tough spot, like he was in enemy territory, and first one of the servant girls said to him, "Hey, you're a Galilean. You must be one of these guys." And Peter, "Oh, no, no, not me." And then somebody else said it, and finally one of the guy said, hey, he says, no, you're one of them. And people, oh, no, no, not at all. But, you know, he was in enemy territory. He was in a tough spot. To his credit, he followed Jesus into enemy territory, but he wasn't up to it. And that's, of course, is the outcome.
I have a question though. What's the difference between him and Judas in the way they reacted? You got a verse for us?
Yeah. Well, a verse, I don't know, but Judas had intentional sin, and Peter was weakness sin, and the difference is huge, is everything. Sinning by weakness is really normal for us as Christians. Intentional sin is not a good spot.
And another thing that I like too is when we're going to read verse 62, it's just the way that he repented. Maybe you could touch on that. It says, and he went outside and wept bitterly. This is after he's denied him 3 times. It says that he wept bitterly. He was convicted of it. What do you think?
Yeah, and that's so beautiful because that's the right response. Judas took the wrong response. He just couldn't get right again. But Peter, he wept bitterly. He realized that how badly he had messed up. He had taken on a challenge which is bigger than he could handle, and he failed. But then again, it says that how Jesus said that you will. He told him to strengthen your brothers, and then it's so nice too. Back 3 days later, when Mary Magdalene is at the cross, at the tomb, and meets Jesus, and which is really beautiful in itself. And then Jesus says to her, "Tell Peter and the others that I am risen." Peter, the others. That's so special. And here's the one that messed up, eh? But Jesus was expecting it, and but he knew that when he failed, he'd be stronger. And that's what he was. And when we read the early chapters of Pentecost, after the 40 days, 50 days after the resurrection,
It was Peter who was strengthening his brothers.
Yeah, he was the one that led the charge at that time. Jesus had confidence in him, but he needed to fail to be strengthened. Praise God.
All right. Thanks, Harry.